introduce yourself if you want to, and start at the very beginning, and how you got into all of this, and then how it unfolded and what happened. Okay?
Okay. Well, hi, Gatis. I start again with that. I have to say, the last few weeks were a little crazy because I absolutely binged on your ex-vegan videos. It started out that I watched Dr. Campbell, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride's video, and a light bulb went up in my head, right? And I kind of like went back throughout my whole life and did an inventory, kind of, right? And I have to say first where I come from. I was born into a very idyllic place, Südtirol. I don't know if you know that place. The Dolomites, it has been declared Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO a few years ago. I mean, for people that maybe don't know the region, if they maybe know the movie Heidi or The Sound of Music, very, very idyllic, okay, and wholesome. And just to say a little bit about how we lived is we were surrounded by farmers. Personally, I don't come from a farmer's family. And we would buy our eggs, milk, butter, and all that from our neighbors. And maybe once a year, my parents would either buy a whole pig or a quarter of a cow or something like that. I mean, when I was 6, 7 years old, I remember, it was a big to-do in the fall. They would, work up that pig, and my mother would make blood dumplings, blood noodles, and all kinds. The intestines of the pigs were used for sausages. I mean, it was almost like a celebratory kind of thing. And in the summertime, we would do a lot of foraging. We would go for days. My mother used to know all the places. It started out with blueberries, cranberries, mushrooms. This went on for however long the season of those berries lasted. Raspberries, hazelnuts. I mean, there was a season for everything, and we were foraging. She would pack us children up with buckets. We would go and we would stay all day in the woods and collect as much as we could, and then we would eat a lot of that for those days, and then my mother would work it up into juices and marmalades for the winter and stuff like that. So I don't remember ever buying vegetables or anything like that. I don't think we ate many vegetables in the wintertime. And the way of life was very, very simple, like that. And around the age of 8, my parents had bought us a donkey he was a pet. Okay, we had a wagon behind, especially my brothers, they were crazy about him. His name was Jokile. And he got a growth in his nose, and I guess it was too expensive to fix, so they slaughtered him. We didn't know about that. But then we found out that we had eaten him one night. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that brought a major shock in me and I just never wanted to eat meat anymore. I just did not want to eat any meat at all anymore. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I started to have deficiency very quickly after that already, because my mother always used to buy fish oil for me. She would send me away to the beach. There was a Caritas. I don't know if you know about Caritas. They have these programs where they would send children to the Adria because the air was good and all that. I would get white chocolate with vitamin in it and stuff like that. And at age 11, I had massive nose bleeding. I mean, towels full. I'm not exaggerating. Almost every day. And I guess I was anemic. I'm not sure. They brought me and they had to kind of fix something in my nose, a lesion or something. And after that, I think it was a little better. After middle school, I decided to go for an apprenticeship in photography. And I earned my own money, not much, but a little. And in my lunch break, I would mainly go and eat patisseries. I had two of them. One of them was closed on Monday, one of them was closed on Tuesday, and I would buy two or three different, beautiful, we have beautiful conditorei, beautiful things, creamy, chocolatey, creamy, beautiful. And I would say that for like 2 years, I would almost exclusively eat that for lunch. Okay. I never really made a fuss about not eating meat. I just didn't want to eat meat. And like I said, if there was an occasion and people eat meat, I never said, oh, I don't eat meat. I would just take everything else. There was always plenty of other things, and then I would just not eat it. Or I would take a tiny little piece and just eat that, When I would say like in my late teens, I had a lot of dizziness spells. Like I couldn't stand in a supermarket line, or not in a supermarket line, in any kind of long line, because I always was afraid that I would faint. Okay. Then in my 20s, I married a meat eater. And he was here visiting today, my ex-husband, right? And I had to actually ask him a few things. And he says, he totally remembers that I never wanted to eat meat, but I never made a fuss about it. I just didn't touch it, like at his mother's Thanksgiving dinner, huge situations and stuff like that. At that time, I was in America, okay? Never made a fuss about it, but I never wanted to eat meat. He said occasionally I would eat a piece of bacon if we would go out to a diner or something for breakfast. I would eat eggs and bacon sometimes, Yeah, then I made myself some little notes so that I'm not to go too far over the thing. Okay, then I had and I never cooked it either. He affirmed that today too. Okay, never cooked meat. He would do that when he wanted meat. He would cook that. About 6 years into our marriage, I had a daughter, and I started to play housewife a little bit. Okay, so for like a year and a half, I would actually make chicken sometimes or something. Okay, then we separated, and I went back to my old ways. Nothing like that. At that time, when I went back to my old ways, it was like in 1986 or something like that. I used to have the TV on all the time as a background noise, okay? To that, I also would like to say that I grew up without TV. My first TV was a black and white TV up in the corner that only my father was allowed to touch at 9 years old. And the only movie I remember ever seeing was Heidi. That's why I mentioned it before, But 1985, my daughter was born. 1986, 87, I had the TV on all the time in the background. And one thing that I actually watched was Oprah. Don't know if you ever heard of Oprah. Yeah. And she always had a weight problem. When I grew up, I never ever heard anything about that there's such a thing as exercise. I never heard that nobody ever told me, oh, you have to drink water. You know what I mean? Exercise, that was an unheard thing for me. We would go and take a hike in the mountains for fun or this or that, or we would walk this or that. But exercise until I was about 30 years old, I have never heard of that. Okay. So then Oprah, this book came out, Fit for Life, okay? Animal meat will kill you. Milk is only for baby cows, you know, and all kinds of things like that. It totally made sense to me at that time. Okay, totally made sense to me at that time. Then we moved back to Italy, my daughter and myself, and I bought this book, and it almost became my Bible at that time. Okay, this is in German, this book here, happens to be in German.
Just to clarify, until 30 you ate pretty much no meat, only occasionally something, and you ate some eggs and
Even when I
dairy
was,
in the pastries
yeah,
and whatever. Okay, yeah.
only like that. But at that time, I had spent a lot of money already on dentists. I mean, everything from pulling, from root canal. I mean, I spent a lot of money up to that age already on dentists, okay? So then, let me see, where are we? Oh, when I went back there, you know, I was very interested in the whole religious cycle in our area. It was like a newfound kind of thing. I enjoyed very much the rhythm of the religious cycle, you know. At Easter, they would bring baskets with all their meats and eggs and things like that. And I just really liked it. And so I started to study with the priests at the seminary. And we would spend weekends there, sleeping on the weekends there and having courses and everything. And when we were living there for those weekends, for like those few years with my neighbor, we would always eat meat for those 3 years. And I just, in retrospect, thinking back, that was such a comfortable time for me, because I thought I attributed it to the stimulating discussions about ethics and all kinds of stuff, you know. I just always had that feeling that I felt wohlig, very comfortable, okay? That lasted only, but that was only for those weekends, you know. Then, let me see. Yeah, I never cooked meat, ever then, you know. Then I returned to the United States because I wanted to live as an artist, okay? And at that time, I totally could tell that I have an addictive personality in all kinds of ways, okay? It could be nicotine, caffeine, sex, work. I totally neglected my body to the point of exertion, you know, sleep deprivation. Like I would be like driven, okay? And that went on for quite a few years. At the same time, I worked in restaurants, in different restaurants on the side in order to have a steady income. And I would work almost like an independent contractor, just doing a shift here in this restaurant, a shift in this one. So I had diversity, okay? 2001 happened, okay? Big situation in my world. I had this borderline schizophrenic friend of mine, genius, that introduced me to all this so-called conspiracy theories, okay, and that opened a whole new thing for me, you know. Kept on going, not eating meat, every once in a while picking here and there, only eating vegetables and fruit from around the corner. That was my source of food that I bought, okay. And 2009 came around and I was at the computer and my daughter was standing behind me. And I don't know what we were talking about. All of a sudden, she started laughing. I said, what's going on? She said, Mommy, I'm laughing because otherwise I will cry. You have a bald spot like this on your head, okay? Oh, my God, I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. I had a friend, neighbor across the street. She was from the Dominican Republic. And her father was like a healer, and she always had this different practical, down to earth advice about things. So she gave me like a rosemary thing to put on, and she told me to eat 3 eggs a day and to take the egg white and rub it in. Okay, so I did that, and then within 2 weeks, tiny little white hair started to grow back. And I have to say, within like about 2 months, you couldn't see a bald spot anymore. Okay, at the same time, all my teeth, first the front tooth started just to break off a piece. I had to go to the dentist to fix it. Not even 2 weeks later, another piece broke off. Okay, but I had in my mouth already a most incredible bridge that I had built in Italy, back in Italy. The guy, the dentist, later said it's a piece that should be in a museum because it was such a craftsman's piece, supposedly. He wanted to keep it. I let him, you know, but I didn't know what to do. Okay, so in the area where I was living, it was highly populated, and the dentists would advertise free x-rays and free consultations. So in a radius of about a mile, I think I went to about 7 or 8 different dentists for consultation in the end of 2009. And everybody told me that I have the jaw of like a 5-year-old. You have a very small jaw. Actually, not everybody told me. One guy told me I have the jaw of a 5-year-old. Everybody told me that my jaw is too weak to do any implants or anything like that. Okay. So after I had all this information, I was looking for a dentist, and I found a Russian dentist that was going to do this. My only option was to pull everything out and to have a denture. Okay. So in February of 2010, I went to the dentist, and you know, he gave me the needles so that I wouldn't feel anything, you know, and I had a nervous breakdown. I said that it was the absolute most humbling thing I ever had to do. Okay, I had a breakdown. I sat down in the hallway of this dentist's office, crying. He got mad at me. He said, "We don't have to do it if you don't want to," you know. And I pulled myself together, and okay, I pulled all my teeth out on the bottom. I was never without cosmetic teeth because he already had done the imprints and everything, and on the raw gums just put in that, you know, temporary denture. Okay, home I went. Naturally, I started going on a liquid thing now. My juicer was becoming my main thing. I would scramble eggs sometimes, I remember, and oatmeal was a thing. But I mainly made shakes. Then in May was the next appointment to do everything on the top. Okay, so in May at that time I had a friend coming. Thank God she came with another friend so they could do visiting in New York and all that kind of stuff, because I was in no shape 2 days before the whole top teeth came out. Well, now I'm only doing liquid stuff, okay, mainly fruits, vegetables from around the corner. And I have a friend in California, and she at the time was vegan. And she said, "Why don't you come out here? You know, you can heal and da-da-dum." So I think I went there for about 5 months. And I mean, huge salads, beautiful dishes. I mean, really very lovingly. I was very excited about all the food and all the time. But I was always hungry. And I went through a very crazy thing that I, in retrospect, think had to do with my immune system. I got attacked by poison oak. And And I read that this changes your cells and it kills the protein or what. I went so scared. I had blisters all over here, the legs. The smell was almost as if the skin was dying. I couldn't be in my own air. I mean, it was crazy, you know. Then I came back, continued my way a little, the same kind of way. Then my daughter got an offer to move from New York with her company to Maryland. That's where we are right now.
Just to clarify quickly, so you were vegan for those months when you were there, right?
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
animal products, nothing.
Then what I did is, because I was always hungry, I was always so hungry. But I mean, my friend cooked beautifully, I'm telling you. Zucchini noodles, I mean, everything. And we had such a joyful time, right? But I was always hungry. So there was a store about half an hour away. And I would get some butter, honey, and eat a little bit of that. I would love that, just with a spoon, honey and butter. So I don't know if you can't really consider that vegan.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came back, I did a lot of juicing again. See, it's very hard for me to determine what I was because I never considered myself vegan or this or that. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, so then my daughter said, oh, mommy, I can only move if you come with us. Right? Because here we have 2 grandchildren, right? So within a month, I decided to do that. And my daughter was very vehement. She wanted her children to have eggs, butter, milk, meat, and all that. And I adhered, but I avoided eating the meat, but I would make them always with gloves on, and things like that. And, well, I have to actually go back a little bit because one major thing about all this was also about me going to move with my granddaughter was because 2011 came. I told you about 2001, the whole conspiracy thing opened up, but in 2011 it really started to become really big, on March 11th, I was into the human design system. I don't know if you know about that. So Ra, a friend of mine from California and we were going to go and see the one that brought the human design system into the existence. He was going to be having a summit in Toronto in April. But on March 11th, in the morning, he died. The tsunami in Japan happened. Okay, and a whole flood of, they say, you go into the rabbit hole very deep. And that's what happened to me, Vaccines, chemtrails, GMO, propaganda, Agenda 21, 2030, actor-based reality, weather modification. I mean, it was just, head spinning, all the information. And today, I mean, I'm telling you, I cannot believe that with all this stuff, I never thought about my nutrition in a more profound way or where I stand in the circle of life. I am totally flabbergasted, Gatis. I can't believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, so friends around me, I'm of a certain age now, friends around me were diagnosed with cancer. Some died, some recovered, some are still presently struggling. Okay. Anytime I brought certain things up, one of my closest friends actually, when I brought a concern up about something, about 2001, about the towers, she actually told me, why don't you go back where you came from if you don't like it here? So very early on, I realized that there was a lot of taboo and you got to be so careful who you speak to, about what, you know what I mean? I mean, we have freedom of speech here, but the blockage for people to talk about certain things is very, very strong. You know what I mean? And I mean, you see it in the political arena. It's like division in everything. Division in politics, division in race, division in this. You know, you have to be like treading so gently on everything. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So I followed some raw people, and I bought books fully raw, Christina, Matt Monarch, and all that. And I went back in the last few weeks to look them up, and they don't look as good as they used to look when I saw them, you know. Well, fast forward, no, another thing, on Saturdays, in order to escape my mundane reality here with my family, I went to take care of a 98-year-old woman. I stayed with her overnight as a caregiver, okay? This happened like for about a year. And this 98-year-old woman, I'm telling you, she had all her marbles together. So smart to talk with. The stories that she would tell me about life and everything. And she had a diet, everyday milk, eggs, butter, meat every single day, unless it was fish. Okay? I'm telling you, she was a fantastic woman. She has a friend in Florida. She's 105, and she still drives and paints and has the same kind of diet. Do you believe it? Unbelievable.
I believe it.
Yeah, I know you believe it. But then fast forward to May, my daughter had a third child, okay? My grandson, the little one, is 5 months old now, okay? I started to get so edgy. I started to get into all kinds of escapist thoughts. I wanted to just run away because I felt stressed out. I felt like, oh my God, now another burden, you know what I mean? And I was looking into maybe in a few years getting a caravan and driving through the United States, or retiring in Mexico or something. I had escapist thoughts, okay? And I have my 89-year-old mother in Italy. She lost her zest for life and her interest in life because my father died about 3 years ago. And she just doesn't want to live anymore. She just wants to go home. She wants him to take her, to get her. You know, I said he can't. But she lost her because of this lack of joy in life. She lost her short-term memory. So the only way to get to her, I talk with her every other day, was through talking about food. So we were reiterating all the recipes and things, you know, that she would do. And I started to cook all those things in the middle of summer, frying things and, you know, a lot of carbohydrates though, because I didn't make any of the meat dishes, you know. This is only 2-3 months ago now, okay? So then school starts. The kids don't want any breakfast. I feel very uneasy, because I wanted them to have something nourishing. Then my mother says, why don't you, and then I remember she would do that with us too, why don't you take a raw egg, put some honey and cream and give them that, then they have at least something, you know. So I started to do that, okay. My 5-month-old grandson is about to eat solids. So I tried a little bit of banana, he didn't like it. Tried a little bit of grated apple, didn't like it. A little bit of mango, didn't like any of that. So my mother said, why don't you try a raw egg, just a yellow? So I did. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, because it seems like the screen is frozen.
Really? Is it?
Yeah, to me it feels like the screen is frozen.
Okay. For me it's fine.
Oh, okay. Now you're there now again. Okay. Yeah, so I was so shocked. I took the egg yolk, right, and I gave him the first spoon. You have no idea. After the first spoon, his eyes opened like, what hit me there? And he opened that little mouth like a bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm giving him raw egg yolks. The kids don't know that they are actually getting that which my mother used to feed us, but they ask for it every day. I have this beautiful little shot glasses. It's just a shot glass full, and I call it a power drink. Do you want your power drink? And if I don't say it for myself, they come to me. Oh, Grandma, you have our power drink, and I feel comfortable about it. I feel very comfortable about it. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's been a crazy thing. I don't know. Did I mention this about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce?
You can mention it quickly if you want.
Yeah. Well, because of all this, me being sandwiched between, my grandchildren and my mother, and for the first time really in my life, thanks to that video with Dr. Campbell and then all those ex-vegan stories, putting two and two together and saying, my God, I mean, how is it possible that I just never thought more in depth about this nutrition, And so, the history with all the conspiracy theories and all that. But now I'm looking at things in a totally new way again, And so on my Facebook feed page in the last few days, this paid sponsored ad comes up about food forward, okay? And it's a summit that starts October 10, 2018 in Washington, D.C. It's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation's second annual Food Forward Summit. It's a future-looking platform where we will explore the future of food, will highlight trailblazers who are reimagining the food system to feed a growing and changing population. Join us as we hear from entrepreneurs, business leaders, investors, and tech experts on topics including reducing food waste and hunger, innovative farming infrastructure, and emerging technologies, and new investments in food and health. Well, the I looked into it. Speaker representatives are from Nestle, Global Crop Diversity Trust, Food Marketing Institute. And when I saw that, I said, wow, Gatis always asks everybody, how do you see the future of veganism, right? And I said, wow, this is really, food is absolutely the main thing. You know what I found out through your videos? Infertility, all kinds of problems, especially those smart young people that you interview. I am so proud of those people that they make the connections. Unfortunately, some of them after having serious health problems, but nevertheless, credit to them. Because I said, my God, it really is like that we are like frogs in a pot being boiled slowly. This is where all these things are happening. I looked into finding raw milk here in Maryland. There is a farm south of Washington, but they're only allowed to sell it for pets, cats, and dogs. Yeah. You know what I mean? So this is where policy is being made. You know what I mean? These are the big corporations, Nestle, all this. This is where all the behind the scenes is coming. And people don't even realize it until they are in the midst of it. Like I said, last year I did this KonMari method of clearing out. Okay, I don't know if you know about this. And I came across 2 shoe boxes full of supplements that we used a little bit and then not, everything from cleansing the parasites. Forget about it. You know what I mean? Mm. No, it is so vital. And what can you do about it? You have to look. People can only change themselves. I have a little bit of an influence on my family, but not much, because my daughter sets boundaries on me very strongly. Are you crazy? You can't do this. Are you crazy? What about salmonella? What about this? What about that? I mean, it's not easy,
It's safe to say that there's brainwashing going on to eat more plants, use supplements from the pharmacy companies, and cook their food, everything, right?
I wouldn't even say it's safe.
Right.
It is such a plan. People don't. I always thought I was a little smart. I don't know. I always thought that I was like a little leading edge on certain things. Oh my God, I feel like I'm coming out of the dark ages. In the Bible, they have the story about the lost son,
Mm-hmm.
Der verlorene Sohn,
Yeah.
the lost son. Well, I feel like, I'm telling you, I feel like the verlorene daughter coming home. I cannot imagine in my life going your route. Okay, I can't. I mean, there is too much there. You know what I mean? But I totally respect, and I understand it too. I do understand it. But, I'm telling you, it's been a gift, the work you've done to me. I have to say so, and I have to thank you, for doing these videos.
Yeah, what's the most important thing you would like to say to any vegans who are watching or who don't want to eat meat, people?
Well, I don't really know if I have anything to say. I really don't know if I have any particular thing to say.
Okay.
Because if you say something, you know what I mean? People always want to rebuttal you on everything. I have a raw vegan friend, totally, I mean, her livelihood depends on her philosophy and her lifestyle and all that. So I understand. But naturally, when I came up on all this information a few weeks ago and the light bulb went up on in my head, everybody on my radar got a phone call, you understand? And she was on my radar. Well, I got yelled at. I thought that she yelled at her cat or something.
Mm-hmm.
She screamed, and I didn't take it personally because I thought she screamed at her cat. She screamed at me. She totally lost it on me. I couldn't believe it. So I have nothing to say, Gatis. I have nothing to say to anybody.
Why did she scream exactly?
Well, because, I don't want to get into details
A little
about
bit,
it.
just you talk.
No, it had to do about that I was questioning the lifestyle.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I to tell you the truth, I wanted to, I was compelled to tell my story for the reason that a lot of people are maybe not even aware that they're going through this, and that that all the brainwashing and propaganda and manipulation and big business, is slowly, getting you to be that way without even thinking that you are. So I have nothing to say to anybody, because
Sure.
if I would want to say something to a vegan, I get attacked. Although I have to say, my friend in California, well, we are childhood friends, she, as soon as we talked, while we were talking, she was a step ahead of me. She immediately had a raw egg.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So I'm not saying that, but everybody has to come to their own thing, but we have to be aware that there is a huge thing. I would want to be a fly on this summit, on the wall of this summit.
Yeah.
And probably you wouldn't even imagine the Frankenstein foods that are going to come out. And that people believe that they are the best thing, that because everybody always chases the next best thing around the corner,
Yeah. When you get all of these books from Fully Raw Christina and all of those guys, did you then go vegan for technically for some time, few weeks at a time, few months at a time? Were you
Oh,
inspired so much by
yes,
it? Yeah.
for months. Even while I was cooking for the kids,
Mm.
I would not eat,
Yeah, yeah.
participate. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Oh yeah. I was totally the fully raw Christina. I was fascinated. What turned me off about her one time, I remember, that was already back in 2015 or 2014, that she had this, that she showed what she buys on food for 1 week.
Right.
That turned me off because that amount of food, I think I don't buy in a month that she eats alone, and you know what I mean?
And it's all
And
imported.
huh?
Not all of it, but it's imported also, so she's also destroying the environment. Even most of these vegans do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's more or less it. I don't think I have any other notes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I do want to point out that naturally after that, that whole, when I saw that lady that drank the egg, the video of the lady that drank the egg, I don't remember her name. You did an interview
Oh,
with the lady.
Shakaya. Yes.
I'm not sure the name now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, so the next day, I get a nice glass, gear myself up to, the resistance was quite big, crack the egg. I thought for sure I was going to gag. I couldn't believe how smooth it went down.
Okay.
I could not believe how smooth it went down. Then I put it on Facebook. Okay. And the egg, the raw egg, and I said, this was my breakfast this morning. I would love your comment, whatever, So this one friend of mine from my region back home, he said, my God, almost like I'm a wimp, and why don't you do it like they used to do it, like a farmer does it, you take the egg, you crack a hole, you poke a little hole, hold it up to the sun, and then drink it down. I said, okay, I'll do that. Thank you so much for, I didn't think about it. Next day I did that. Resistance was still the same. And I'm telling you, my resistance, now it's been a little more than a week that I'm drinking an egg in the morning every day, farmer style, right? Sad when the sun is not out, because the sun, it's really interesting. When you just hold the egg up towards the sun and it's not cracked yet, then you don't see through. But if there is the hole on the bottom, then the light shines through and you can see if there's a chick inside. That's why they did it, probably. You know what I mean? But sad when the sun is not there, because it has like a more empowering feeling, But yeah, I'm enjoying it. And I have to say, it's like deeply satisfying feeling always that I have after that I have that egg. It's like, because my friends, they ask me, well, so do you feel a difference? I said, yeah, I just feel a very homey, satisfying feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Stay well, okay?
Yeah.
Ciao.